Hi, my name is Lucia and I work in the business department at Learn Research. And today we're going to see the art of rescuing clinical studies, also known as handover. Imagine that your study goes to therapy. Why is this possible? How is it possible? Well, as a CRO, our experience is that it is related to study timelines most of the time. But if on top of that we add lack of peer communication or peer document management, the result is that our sponsor may feel anxious, overwhelmed, depressed, and a lot of bad emotions that we clearly want to avoid. So now that we are aware of the situation, let's take a step out of this. And what can we do? Well, change of CRO. But how are we going to do this? So first of all, the most important thing is to understand the reality of the studio. First of all, in which phase are we? Because it won't be the same if we are starting than closing. Also, we have to know the status of the data and the regulatory one. It won't be the same if we are doing some submissions to the committees or if we have to do some amendments. But let's explain this in a more simple way. Imagine that our study is a bag of milk screws. Let's check what we have in here. Okay, the study phase, the regulatory status, the status of data review. All right, I think I have the reality of the studio. But first, let's go back to the presentation because I want to explain the critical points when we receive a study. Where is it really where things break? Well, normally in the handover meetings, a lot of information face-to-face is communicated, but none of it is really properly documented. Also, they assume that the CRAs know everything about the study when the reality is that they didn't know nothing. And lastly, but not less important, is that not all the necessary data and information is properly documented. So let's have in mind a very important principle, a key principle. A handover should be done as if the next person knows absolutely nothing about it. Now, let's come back to our bag of screws, because what we're going to have to do with it, clearly, is to organize it. So, we're going to do this in 5 simple steps. First of all, we're going to select the CRAs aligned with the situation of the studio, because it won't be the same for everyone. Then, we're going to have to introduce the CRA or CRO to the new sites so we maintain that feeling of trust and avoid the one of abandonment. Then we're going to have to review the budget and do again a cost assessment because, of course, it won't be the same for a CRO that for another. And finally, we're going to prioritize based on the status of data review, the TMF, and the ISF. So with this, we can resume the monitoring and site management activities. With everything organized and under control, we can go back to the presentation to double check that throughout the process we have not forget anything. So let's break this process into 5 simple steps. First of all, the first one would be to select the CRA or the CRO correctly and align with the study situation. Then we will have to introduce the new CRA or CRO to the site so that trust is reassured. Then we will have to do a cost assessment. Normally the budget would need to revise it. And then we have to prioritize based on the status data review, the TMF, and the ISF. So with that, we can resume the monitoring activities and management ones. And how does our sponsor feel right now? Well, probably relieved, reassured, confident, and these emotions that clearly is our objective. So remember that it is not the study, but the way it's managed. Thank you.